Imagine you're standing in your kitchen, coffee in hand, the morning light spilling across the counter, and you hear your own voice, not repeating what you just said but answering with a sentence you never formed. Calm, intimate, or chillingly precise. "I remember when we decided to leave," it says, or "he shouldn't be trusted," or something impossibly detailed about a memory you don't have. For a second your brain staggers because the easiest explanation, an echo, a playback, a prank, doesn't fit. That voice is your timbre, your cadence, but the words are foreign, as if the house itself edited your speech and returned a different script. At first it would feel like a trick of acoustics or a glitch in a smart speaker, a hallucination shared with too many late-night podcasts. Scientists, linguists, and neurologists would lean in. Could this be an auditory misfire, where the brain's predictive circuits generate plausible but false continuations of your own speech? Is your inner monologue leaking into the airwaves, getting externalized as a sentence shaped by hidden memories or suppressed thoughts? Maybe it's something stranger, a feedback loop between your vocal cords and neural circuitry that occasionally samples possible sentences from the web of your experiences and offers them back as if they'd slipped from your lips. But the human fallout would be immediate and oddly intimate. Couples would freeze mid-argument when a voice echoed a confession neither partner remembers making. Parents would stare at teenagers who hear compliments they never received and nightmares they never had. Trust, that fragile social glue, would start to splinter. Courts would face a new kind of testimony problem. Whose words are real when your voice can conjure things your tongue didn't form? Would recorded alibis hold weight if your recorded voice once said something you insist you never uttered? Companies that rely on voice authentication would find the ground shifting under them. Passwords whispered, contracts agreed to by echoes of a CEO who claims no memory of the call. The economy would pivot. Legal teams, sound forensics firms, and echo auditors would spring up to analyze spectrograms and neural signatures, trying to tell the original utterance from the imposter. Meanwhile, artists and con artists alike would experiment. Poets would seek out the phenomenon to collaborate with their own echoed selves, composing duets across a thin veil of identity. Propagandists would weaponize it, planting phrases that seem to come from trusted public figures and watching entire markets or elections wobble under the weight of a well-placed echoed sentence. The emotional landscape would twist in unpredictable ways. For some, hearing an echoed phrase of tenderness could feel like a miracle, proof that the universe remembers the small, unspoken desires of your heart. For others, an echoed betrayal would be corrosive, seeding doubt where none existed and unraveling relationships over things that may have never occurred. People might start to question their memories more broadly. If your voice can fabricate a sentence, what else can your perception invent? Psychologists would see waves of existential vertigo, while spiritual communities might declare the echoes to be messages from beyond, an inner guidance system externalized. Governments would not ignore a phenomenon that could destabilize societies. Surveillance apparatuses would be repurposed. Intelligence agencies would hunt for any technology that could coax citizens' voices into saying the unsaid. Deeper ethical debates would flare up about consent, privacy, and the ownership of one's voice, especially if companies learned to fine-tune echoes to influence behavior. Education and politics could fracture along lines of who controls the narrative when even your own sound can lie for you. And beneath all this practical chaos, there'd be a quieter, uncanny thrill, a door opening inside the self. The echoed sentence might sometimes reveal a memory you'd buried, an apology you'd never formed, a fear you hadn't named, a ghost phrase that points to the architecture of your mind. Or it might be pure noise, a random recombination with no anchor in your life, reminding you that language is a forest of possibilities and your voice is only one way through it. Imagine late at night when the house is thin with sleep, you whisper a question to no one and the room answers back with a line that rewrites everything you thought about yourself. In that instant the world would feel both larger and more treacherous. Larger because the boundary between thought and speech has softened, treacherous because what you think you said and what you actually said are no longer guaranteed to match. The phenomenon would force us into new rituals of verification and new philosophies of identity, but it would also open the most human of inquiries. Who are we when the sound of our voice can say things we did not intend?